Oh man, Dave Rubin was on Tucker Carlson last night.
A real meeting of the minds then.
Yeah.
I can only imagine like a combination of like that big brain with that like big sense of humor, just like combining and just like really creating like a black hole of entertainment.
Yeah.
They're still recovering from all those high level ideas, I think.
Well, let's get a bit of a taste of some of those ideas. Tucker Carlson, of course, can't stop talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because of his obsession with her, which could be psychoanalyzed by Freudian psychologists for decades and decades to come. He goes after her, says she's never had a real job after calling her for a bartender for many years. And Dave Rubin is right in the mix on that program. What a wonderful thing for our country that this is the top-rated cable news show in the country.
Partisan, their mandate is defined by law. It's to ensure two things: stable prices and stable employment. But beginning this summer, Democrats in Congress have tried to transform the mission of the Federal Reserve. Now, Sandy Cortez, who literally couldn't balance a checkbook, who's never had a real job, has decided we need to turn the Fed into a vehicle to fight global warming. Imagine a world where Sandy Cortez weighs in on Fed policy or the power grid.
Sandy Cortez?
She does. Quote, "We urge President Biden to reimagine a Federal Reserve focused on eliminating climate risk and advancing racial and economic justice." How's that going to end? When people with literally no skills whatsoever, who can't do anything, who couldn't program a microwave, are in charge of the most complex and significant systems in the country? Go back to the Gender Studies Department. You could really break things. Dave Rubin is the host of the Dave Rubin Show. We're happy to have him. Dave, thanks so much for coming on. So it seems like the least qualified people are grabbing massive amounts of power. I mean, massive amounts.
Tucker, for the record, programming a microwave can be a little complex. I've never really understood the defrost thing.
Fair point.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, what's it really doing? But the point is, yes, you are completely right.
Oh, shocker. I mean, didn't these guys support Donald Trump? We're talking about qualifications. Like,
oh God, Tucker's just, Dave Rubin's just so funny. I just like skip past laughter straight to crying. I just holding it all in.
I love the way he Tucker, he gets a little bit of laugh from Tucker and then he kind of goes back in again and Tucker's like, no, Dave, move on from that.
That was the fakest but like most generous laugh I've ever seen anyone give, like Dave Rubin. And very professional of Tucker Carlson. That might be the most acting I've seen him do. Like, ha 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 ha. Very funny.
Dave just had 3 minutes on how tough microwaves are to program instead until Tucker gets him out.
What qualifications allow you for, as somebody who's in our government, to make comments on anything, right? I mean, she's pretty qualified in and of itself to have opinions on the government because she's in the government as an elected representative.
If you win an election, you're qualified.
Yeah. I didn't realize that populist Tucker Carlson needed preconditions for everybody who was elected by their constituents of probably degrees and expensive college credentials to come in as experts and weigh in on things. I thought he was a man of the people in his woodworking shed. Or, I don't know, maybe he just wants only a group of deep staters or elitists,
Ivy League
people to be able to
lawyers.
weigh in. They're the only ones who can talk about public policy or make suggestions, I guess.
It's weird because the reason he calls her Sandy Cortez is because, and a lot of conservatives, at least online, do this. It's a way to sort of knock her because I don't know if you guys remember, but she came out that, she used the name Sandy. She had her friends call her Sandy in college, and conservatives became obsessed with the idea that she wasn't a real working class woman from the Bronx because she went to a nice college in Boston. And, she was, when those videos came out of her dancing with her friends or whatever. So they used that to sort of demean her by saying she wasn't really working class. But at the same time, he's saying that she doesn't have the education or the know know, the wherewithal, the know-how to be in the positions that she is. So which is it though? Like, it's double speak in both ways. Which is it? She's a Latina bartender from the Bronx who shouldn't be where she is, or she's a fake, overly educated liberal who knows exactly what she's doing, but also somehow is unqualified for the moment. Like, I don't understand. Like, they don't understand either. But that's what they go with. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, for me, Sandy Cortez, the way he says it just sounds like an old-timey baseball player. This is a very weird thing to become obsessed with. I mean, we know what qualifies her to have an opinion in, politics. If in their mind, it's like that people say the things that they want to hear them say, right? We don't hear this kind of like delegitimizing talk about what Lauren Boebert, who owned the bar, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was like the CrossFit trainer, or any of that stuff. And you can say it's because they technically own small businesses, but more than anything, it's because everyone is kind of just looking for that echo chamber. So they don't mind pivoting back and forth between, you got to have this unearned deference for, like, I guess, Harvard economists who work at the Fed, but also like sort of like hate them because they're not down to earth, like Smallville type farmers. It's I think much more transparent that a lot of their ideology is just held together, especially when it comes to her, or a lot of just generally held together by like a type of just antagonism towards women, antagonism towards people of color, antagonism towards the poor, the working poor, urban-centered like minorities, any number of antagonisms.
But to be fair, Brandon, I was told by Jimmy Dore that AOC also owned the bar that she worked at. So.
Right.
Well, I mean, hopefully it was actually just a front for like a communist party revolution.
Yeah, well, I mean, you weren't supposed to say that out loud, dude.
The funny thing is
reverse psychology, double reverse psychology.
Right. Mm.
The funny thing is, you brought up like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and how they ignore their like their bona fides to be where they are. But like, this is, it's extra funny though when you find out that Lauren Boebert, that restaurant she owns and runs, she's basically able to do that because her husband is like some high level executive at an energy company and breaks in almost $1 million a year.
Yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene got that from her dad, her business.
She owns her dad. She now owns her dad's construction company. So, and that's where her money comes from. And she also took quite a hefty amount of money out of that, the PPP loans, which still unsure where that went. I believe some of it went to, her campaign somehow, if I recall reading that correctly. But these guys are always love to play both sides here. They have the working class, small business owner mentality, but don't tell anybody that we're actually only able to do all this stuff because we all had it handed down to us on a silver platter by who we were born from or who we ended up marrying.
Well, I mean, they're obsessed with that faux meritocracy that they think people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez like disrupt by pointing out that racism is real. And so, you have Dave Rubin on with the heir to the hot pocket fortune, talking about how like some people have never had real jobs. And, Dave Rubin has been hosting comedy shows for the past 20 years. I watched a comedy special with him that was like from the early 2000s a few weeks ago. Right. And so it's all just in service of pretending that comedy and like air quotes, I suppose. It's all in service of pretending that a meritocracy that they both disprove by being there, but also desperately want to maintain exists is still functional, right? And just acknowledging that, we live in a racist, classist like society disrupts their ability to pretend like the reason that like Meghan McCain is on TV is because she has a lot of great insights into the world.
Not for long.
Wait, has she quit yet? Actually, I totally forgot to check into that. It's been like
they may not be around in the summer. The View people, like it might be one of those. Take some time off in the summer.
Well, good for them. It's Labor Day next week,
folks. There's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.